gleaming black Mercedes S-Class sat perfectly positioned across from Urban Luxe, Chicago's most exclusive boutique. Through tinted windows, Emily Walters' keen eyes tracked every movement outside her flagship store. Her fingers drummed lightly against the leather steering wheel as she observed the morning routine unfold. A routine she'd established, yet now witnessed as an outsider. The store's elegant facade reflected the early morning sun, its pristine windows showcasing collections worth more than most people's annual salary. Inside, staff members moved with practiced precision, preparing for another day of catering to Chicago's elite. But something felt different. Wrong. Through the windshield, Emily noticed subtle changes that made her stomach tighten. The welcoming seating area, once visible from the street, had vanished. New signs with "by appointment only" decorated the entrance. A policy she'd never approved. Her employees' body language spoke volumes. Tense shoulders, cautious movements, forced smiles. Henry Stone, the interim manager she'd hired remotely from Paris, stood at the entrance like a sentinel. His commanding presence and razor-sharp suit might have impressed her 3 months ago during their video interview. Now, watching him bark orders at her carefully selected team, she saw something else entirely. His gestures were too sharp, his stance too rigid, his attention too focused on the wrong details. Emily reached for her simple black tote bag. It was time to see exactly what had changed in her absence. You know that moment when someone's about to learn a powerful lesson about judging others? If you've ever experienced discrimination based on your appearance, what I'm about to share will resonate deeply with you. Here at Tales of Light, we believe in showcasing real stories that expose prejudice and celebrate justice. Before we witness how this unfolds, take a moment to join our community of truth seekers. Hit that subscribe button and activate notifications, because this story of power, prejudice, and sweet justice deserves your full attention. Trust me, you won't want to miss the moment when appearances shatter expectations. Our comment section becomes a powerful space for sharing similar experiences. Have you ever been underestimated based on how you look? Share your story below. Now, let's return to that crucial morning outside Urban Luxe. Few would have connected this casually dressed woman to the empire she'd built. Her designer jeans and black cashmere sweater spoke of quiet elegance rather than obvious wealth. The delicate Hermès scarf draped around her neck, a gift from Milan's Fashion Week, blended perfectly with her understated appearance. Her reflection in the rearview mirror revealed features that told a beautiful story of heritage. Her father's African-American influence in her natural curls, her mother's Asian legacy in her distinctive facial features. A unique beauty that had opened some doors, and surprisingly to many, owned several. 3 months in Europe had transformed her business, securing partnerships with exclusive designers who rarely ventured beyond Paris and Milan. But that information remained privileged, known only to her husband. Her planned return wasn't scheduled until next week, a detail that would prove significant in the moments to come. The staff knew her as a formidable businesswoman. Today, they would see her stripped of the power suits and boardroom presence. Just another woman approaching a luxury store's entrance, or so they thought. Morning mist clung to Michigan Avenue as early shoppers hurried past, their designer bags swinging in rhythm. Through Urban Luxe's windows, display lights cast a golden glow, highlighting next season's must-have pieces. The scene appeared perfect. Too perfect. A tightness gripped Emily's chest as she watched Stone adjust a new sign in the window. His movements were calculated, methodical. Behind him, her longtime assistant manager Tessie clutched files to her chest, her usual warm smile replaced by worried glances toward the door. The temperature might have been dropping outside, but inside Urban Luxe, something was heating up. Emily's hand paused on the door handle as Stone's voice carried through the gap. Remember, we maintain standards here. Not everyone who walks in belongs here. The next few minutes would change everything at Urban Luxe forever. Urban Luxe stood as the crown jewel of Chicago's Magnificent Mile, its modernist architecture making a bold statement among historic facades. The boutique's reputation had soared beyond Illinois, attracting elite clientele from both coasts and international visitors who specifically planned their Chicago trips around shopping here. Inside, rare pieces from Paris fashion houses shared space with emerging designers' collections, a curated blend that had become Urban Luxe's signature. The store's three-story layout featured private shopping suites, a champagne bar, and an invitation-only top floor where limited-edition pieces waited for discerning collectors. What set Urban Luxe apart wasn't just its merchandise. It was its philosophy. Emily had built this empire on the foundation of accessible luxury, where exceptional service wasn't reserved for known big spenders. Fashion magazines praised this approach, with Vogue highlighting how Urban Luxe had revolutionized luxury retail in the Midwest. The store's prime location, nestled between Michigan Avenue's most prestigious addresses, offered views of both the Chicago River and the city's iconic architecture. A fitting backdrop for a business that had become a destination in itself. Henry Stone moved through Urban Luxe like he owned every square inch of marble flooring. His credentials had impressed on paper: Harvard Business School, luxury retail experience in New York and London, glowing recommendations from prestigious names in fashion. The video interview from Paris had shown a polished professional who spoke eloquently about elevating luxury experiences. But numbers told a different story. Since his appointment, customer feedback had shifted dramatically. Online reviews mentioned uncomfortable experiences and selective service. Regular clients suddenly found appointments mysteriously unavailable. Sales figures revealed a disturbing pattern. High-value transactions concentrated among a notably narrow demographic. His morning meetings had become performances of authority. Designer-clad staff members stood ramrod straight as he paced, delivering lectures about maintaining certain standards and protecting the brand's image. Those who questioned his methods found their schedules reduced or their positions reorganized. Behind his Tom Ford suits and perfectly knotted ties lurked something more insidious. Security footage showed him personally intercepting certain customers at the door, directing them elsewhere with practiced smiles that never reached his eyes. Longtime employees had begun requesting transfers, their departure letters carefully worded but telling. The transformation of Urban Luxe under Stone's leadership was subtle but profound, like poison administered through a crystal glass. For 3 months, Emily had navigated the exclusive world of European fashion houses, transforming Urban Luxe's future from her suite at the Ritz Paris. Her mission had exceeded every expectation. Private meetings with legendary designers yielded partnerships previously thought impossible. She'd secured exclusive rights to collections that would make Urban Luxe the only destination between the coasts for certain luxury brands. Each video call with her Chicago team had been carefully scheduled around Fashion Week events, buyers' previews, and confidential negotiations. The time difference meant late-night discussions about inventory and early morning budget reviews. She trusted her team, delegated authority, and maintained oversight through detailed reports. The decision to return early had come after a final successful negotiation in Milan. She'd kept it quiet, telling only her husband, wanting to observe her store's operations without preparation or pretense. Those quarterly reports from Stone had been impressive, perhaps too impressive. Something about the perfectly formatted presentations had nagged at her instincts, prompting this unannounced homecoming. Through the store's glass panels, Emily watched Stone gather the morning staff in a tight semicircle. His voice carried that practiced management tone, smooth yet commanding. The morning sun caught his platinum cufflinks as he gestured toward the new signage. "Let me be perfectly clear about our updated policies," he announced, adjusting his tie. "When certain individuals approach the entrance, you'll notice I've positioned the security button within easy reach. We don't need to make a scene. Simply alert me or security. Remember, not every window shopper deserves a place in our showroom." The staff's discomfort was visible. Some looked at their feet, others exchanged worried glances. Tessie, Emily's trusted assistant manager who had helped build Urban Lux's reputation for exceptional service to all clients, clutched her tablet tighter, her knuckles whitening. "I've prepared a detailed profile of our target clientele," Stone continued, distributing sleek folders. "Study these characteristics carefully. Our commission structure now rewards those who focus on the right customers. Those who waste time on broader demographics will find their positions reviewed." Emily's hand tightened around her phone. The evidence she needed was unfolding before her eyes. Morning light filtered through Urban Lux's towering windows, catching the crystal chandeliers and casting delicate patterns across Italian marble floors. The boutique's signature scent, a subtle blend of white tea and jasmine, drifted through the carefully controlled air system. Designer collections created a symphony of textures and colors along the walls, while hidden LED lighting highlighted each piece to perfection. The newly positioned security cameras blinked silently, their presence more pronounced than before Stone's arrival. The atmosphere had shifted from welcoming luxury to guarded exclusivity. Where soft music once invited browsing, now an uncomfortable silence pressed against the soaring ceilings. The previously bustling preview area sat empty, its velvet chairs positioned to discourage lingering. Even the morning air felt different, heavy with tension, weighted with unspoken rules and silent judgments. Emily's heels clicked softly against the sidewalk as she approached Urban Lux's entrance. Through the glass, the morning preparation ritual continued. Her carefully crafted procedures now twisted into something unrecognizable. Her hand had barely touched the door handle when a shadow fell across her path. "We're not open for another 30 minutes, Stone announced, positioning himself between Emily and the entrance. His 6'2" frame towered over her, a calculated intimidation tactic. He'd emerged so quickly, it was clear he'd been watching, waiting for this exact scenario. Emily maintained her professional smile, noting how his eyes performed their practiced assessment, lingering on her casual boots, dismissing her designer jeans, barely acknowledging her cashmere sweater. His lips twitched, a micro-expression of disapproval she wasn't meant to catch. "That's fine," Emily responded, her voice carrying the warmth of someone who knew every inch of the space behind him. "I'm actually here to—" "Perhaps," Stone cut in, taking another step forward that forced her to move back. "You might find more suitable options elsewhere." His hand gestured toward the less exclusive shopping district, the movement deliberately slow, patronizing. "There's a lovely department store having a sale just 3 blocks down." The morning sun caught his wedding ring as he adjusted his tie, a nervous tell masked as authority. Behind him, through the pristine glass doors, several employees had frozen in place, their faces a mixture of recognition and horror. One reached for her phone, then thought better of it. "Mr. Stone," Emily began again, maintaining her composure despite the growing audience inside, "if you'd just allow me to explain." "Listen carefully." Stone lowered his voice to a near whisper, leaning forward as if sharing privileged information. "I don't know how you learned about our pre-opening schedule, but let me be transparent. Urban Lux maintains certain expectations." His lips curled into what he probably thought was a sympathetic smile. Emily noted how his posture shifted, shoulders squared, chin lifted, creating a display of authority that would have impressed anyone who hadn't signed his employment contract. "Our clientele," he continued, each word measured and dripping with condescension, expects an environment that reflects their position in society. "I'm simply maintaining the standards Mrs. Walter established." He smoothed his lapel, a gesture of self-satisfaction. "Perhaps you've seen our pieces in magazines? The prices might surprise you." When Emily remained unmoved, his tone hardened. "Look, I'm trying to be diplomatic here. This isn't the kind of establishment where you can just walk in off the street. We operate by appointment only for qualified clients." His emphasis on qualified carried unmistakable weight. "And these qualifications," Emily prompted, her voice level, "would be based on what exactly?" Stone's expression flickered, annoyance at having to explain what he considered obvious. "Mrs. Walter has very specific views about maintaining our brand's prestige." Inside, the morning preparation had ground to a halt. Employees clustered in small groups, their tasks forgotten as the scene unfolded. Several staff members exchanged worried glances, their hands nervously adjusting displays they'd already perfected. Tessie stood frozen by the designer handbag display, files clutched to her chest. Her gaze darted between Emily and Stone, mouth opening and closing as she wrestled with intervention. "Mr. Stone," she finally called out, voice trembling. "That's not now, Tessie," Stone snapped without turning around. "I'm handling this situation." His dismissive wave silenced her attempted warning. Near the register, two senior sales associates exchanged knowing looks. They'd witnessed similar scenes over the past months, though never with this particular target. Their commission reports showed the cost of Stone's standards. Declined sales, lost customers, mounting complaints, carefully buried in revised reports. The security guard, newly hired under Stone's management, shifted uncomfortably by his post. His hand hovered near his radio, uncertain whether to follow Stone's previous instructions or trust his instincts about the woman at the door. If you're feeling your blood boil watching this scene unfold, you're not alone. Here at Tales of Light, we expose these moments of injustice because they happen every day, in stores, offices, and public spaces across the world. Your support helps us bring these stories to light. Take a moment to hit that subscribe button and join our community of justice seekers. Ring that notification bell, because what happens next will show exactly why assumptions based on appearance can backfire spectacularly. Drop a comment below sharing your thoughts. Have you witnessed similar discrimination in luxury spaces? How did you respond? Your experiences matter, and this community grows stronger with every voice that speaks up. Now, let's return to Urban Luxe, where Henry Stone is about to learn an unforgettable lesson about judgment. "I have strict instructions," Stone declared, drawing himself up to his full height, "about maintaining the store's exclusive atmosphere." His voice dropped to a conspiratorial whisper. "Between us, Mrs. Walter made it very clear, we need to be selective about who browses our collections." Emily tilted her head slightly, her composed expression masking rising indignation. "Did Mrs. Walter specify exactly how to be selective?" Stone's confidence grew with what he mistook for understanding. "Let's be frank, certain demographics don't align with our brand image. I've implemented a careful screening process." He gestured at her casual attire. "It protects our genuine clientele from feeling uncomfortable." "Uncomfortable?" Emily's eyebrow arched perfectly. "Precisely. Our real customers spend thousands without blinking. They expect a certain environment." His smile turned patronizing. "I'm sure you understand, or perhaps not. Shall I call you a taxi to that department store?" Behind him, several employees had pulled out their phones, though none dared to record. The tension in the air thickened as Stone continued digging his professional grave deeper with each word. Stone's stance betrayed misplaced confidence. Chin raised, shoulders back, hands clasped before him like a gatekeeper to an exclusive realm. Emily's quiet dignity provided a stark contrast. Her relaxed posture and steady gaze spoke of someone completely at ease, even as Stone attempted to dismiss her. The Hermes scarf at her neck caught a gentle breeze, its subtle pattern worth more than Stone's entire suit. The space between them crackled with unspoken tension. Through the glass, employees held their collective breath, documents and tablets forgotten in their hands. The boutique's elegant interior seemed to pause, suspended in this moment of impending revelation. Emily reached into her tote bag, noting how Stone instinctively stiffened, as if someone he deemed unworthy couldn't possibly carry anything valuable. Her fingers brushed past her passport, still stamped from Milan's Fashion Week, to retrieve her phone. "These numbers interest me, Mr. Stone," she stated calmly, pulling up the quarterly reports. Each swipe revealed declining sales figures he'd carefully masked in his presentations. Her mind flashed to the countless hours she'd invested in building relationships with clients from every background. Relationships now damaged by his selective policies. While maintaining her serene exterior, Emily's thoughts raced strategically. 3 months of complaints sat in her private email. Dozens of loyal customers, turned away based on appearance alone, had reached out directly. She'd monitored everything from Paris, gathering evidence, waiting for the perfect moment to address this corruption of her brand's values. "Your interpretation of luxury is fascinating," she remarked, her tone measured and professional. The same voice that had negotiated with fashion houses in Paris now carried subtle authority. "Tell me more about these standards you're so diligently protecting." Her mother had taught her this patience, the power of allowing someone to reveal their true nature through their own words. Her father had shown her how dignity could be the sharpest response to prejudice. Now, watching Stone's self-assured smile, she channeled both lessons. "Since you seem so interested in our policies," Stone leaned forward, misreading her composed demeanor as admiration for his methods, "I've actually developed quite an efficient system." His voice carried the smug satisfaction of someone convinced of their own brilliance. "Our target demographic expects excellence. When I notice certain—" He paused, searching for appropriately diplomatic words. "Individuals who don't match our client profile, I simply redirect them. It's better for everyone." Stone began gesturing toward his own attire. The custom suit, imported shoes, designer watch, drawing an unspoken comparison to Emily's carefully chosen casual wear. "You see, true luxury requires understanding. Our clientele can spot the difference between those who belong and those who—" His gaze swept dismissively over her. "Wish they did." "And this system," Emily prompted, her voice carrying a hint of steel beneath its smoothness, "you implemented independently?" "Of course, Mrs. Walter is far too busy in Europe to manage these details. Sometimes leadership requires taking initiative." His chest puffed slightly. "The results speak for themselves. Our average transaction value has increased significantly since I began curating our clientele." Each word he spoke wove another strand into the rope of his professional undoing. Outside Urban Luxe, the morning crowd on Michigan Avenue had begun to take notice. 2 women paused their power walk, designer gym bags in hand, exchanging shocked glances as they overheard Stone's condescending tone. One pulled out her phone, recording discreetly. A distinguished older gentleman, who regularly purchased gifts for his granddaughters at Urban Luxe, slowed his pace. His expression darkened as he witnessed the scene unfolding, perhaps remembering how his own daughter had recently mentioned feeling unwelcome in the store. A young couple, tourists from Paris, stopped their window shopping. The woman whispered rapidly in French, recognizing Emily from last week's fashion events, her eyes widening at the irony playing out before them. Near the corner, a group of business professionals waited for their coffee orders, their attention drawn to the growing tension. One woman in a sharp suit shook her head in disgust, already pulling up the corporate contact information for Urban Luxe on her phone. Each passing moment drew more witnesses, the sidewalk becoming an impromptu audience to Stone's impending downfall. Emily allowed the weight of silence to build, her fingers still resting on her phone's screen. The quarterly reports glowed accusingly. Each manipulated number, each revised policy, each twisted truth, waiting to be exposed. The morning sun caught the edge of her wedding ring, the same ring she'd worn while signing the deed to this building 5 years ago. Her other hand traced the edge of her business card in her tote, feeling the embossed letters of her name and title. Through the window, she glimpsed her own reflection overlaying the luxury displays she'd personally curated. Behind her, Michigan Avenue's early traffic provided a fitting backdrop to this theater of assumptions. The perfect stage was set. Stone filled the silence with nervous energy, adjusting his tie, shifting his weight, subtle tells that suggested growing unease with her prolonged scrutiny. His certainty began showing hairline cracks, like expensive porcelain about to shatter. The moment stretched, pregnant with possibility. Emily thought of her parents who'd taught her that true elegance had nothing to do with appearances and everything to do with character. She smiled. It was time. Mr. Stone, Emily's voice cut through the tension with precision. Let's discuss these initiatives of yours. The 15% drop in luxury accessories sales since your arrival, was that part of your vision? Stone's composure flickered. I'm not sure how you accessed those figures, but the 3 discrimination complaints filed last month, the revised customer feedback reports, the new appointment-only policy that somehow only applies to certain customers. Each question landed like a perfectly aimed arrow. Those numbers are confidential, Stone's voice rose slightly, authority crumbling, and you have no right to. The commission structure you modified to reward selective service, the security protocols targeting specific demographics, the staff meetings where you detailed your profile of acceptable customers. Color drained from Stone's face as each violation was laid bare. His hand moved protectively toward his jacket pocket, where his employee access card rested, as if already sensing its imminent surrender. I don't know who you think you are. He attempted to rally, his voice betraying rising panic, but these business decisions are between me and Mrs. Walter. The boutique's elegant interior seemed to hold its breath. Morning light streamed through the windows, illuminating the scene like a spotlight on a stage. The usual gentle hum of Michigan Avenue faded to background silence, as if the city itself waited for justice to unfold. The air crackled with electric tension, that rare moment when power shifts, when assumptions crumble, when truth demands its due. Stone's carefully constructed facade of authority stood on the edge of collapse, while Emily's quiet dignity filled the space between luxury displays and shattered prejudices. The stage was set for revelation. Emily reached into her tote one final time, retrieving her leather wallet with deliberate grace. The movement caught the morning light, highlighting the subtle Urban Luxe logo embossed in the corner. A detail Stone's trained eye couldn't miss. His expression flickered with the first hint of uncertainty. Since you're so concerned about maintaining Mrs. Walter's standards, Emily began, opening her wallet with measured precision, perhaps we should discuss exactly what those standards are. She withdrew her ID and business cards, holding them at an angle that caught the light. Emily Walter, owner and CEO of Urban Luxe. Her voice carried through the space with quiet authority. We spoke via video conference when I hired you, though the Paris connection was rather poor, wasn't it? The impact exploded across the sidewalk like a silent shockwave. Gasps rippled through the growing audience as recognition dawned. I must say, your interpretation of my standards is fascinating, Emily continued, each word precise and measured. Though I don't recall authorizing a policy of discrimination during our interviews, perhaps there was some confusion about what maintaining standards truly means at Urban Luxe. She took one step forward, and this time, Stone was the one who retreated. The power dynamic shifted like a physical wave. reality rearranging itself around the single moment of revelation. "Now then," Emily smiled, the same smile that had closed deals with fashion houses across Europe, "shall we discuss your understanding of our brand's values in detail?" The transformation of Stone's demeanor was cinematically profound. The blood drained from his face so rapidly that his designer stubble stood out like shadows on snow. His carefully maintained posture, that ramrod straight stance of assumed authority, crumbled like a house of cards in a hurricane. His mouth opened and closed in silent horror, Adam's apple bobbing with unspoken excuses. The perfectly knotted tie suddenly seemed to strangle him, his manicured fingers fumbling at his collar. Beads of sweat purled along his hairline, threatening the precision of his styled hair. "Mrs. W. Walter," he stammered, his voice climbing octaves. You weren't," the schedule said, "next week." Each word emerged weaker than the last, his previous condescension evaporating like morning mist in summer heat. His eyes, previously narrowed with judgment, now darted frantically between Emily's face and the business cards in her hand, as if hoping one of them might somehow prove false. The polished veneer of superiority cracked, revealing the hollow prejudice beneath. His designer suit, once armor of authority, now seemed to hang on him like borrowed clothes. Inside Urban Luxe, the atmosphere transformed from tension to barely contained jubilation. Tessie's face bloomed into a radiant smile, tears of relief glistening in her eyes. She hugged the files to her chest, no longer evidence of forced complicity, but proof of their shared vindication. The security guard removed his earpiece completely, a broad grin breaking through his professional facade. His posture relaxed, shoulders dropping, months of accumulated tension from enforcing Stone's discriminatory policies. Through the windows, employees who had suffered under Stone's regime exchanged glances of triumph. Some pressed hands to their mouths, suppressing delighted gasps. Others stood taller, pride returning to their stances as they watched their true leader restore the store's integrity. A wave of whispers swept through the space. "That's our Emily. She knew all along. Watch him squirm." The pride in their voices carried 3 months of pent-up frustration, finding sweet release. The boutique itself seemed to exhale, luxury items gleaming brighter as if celebrating the return of their rightful curator. Tales of Light family. This moment right here? This is why we do what we do. That instant when prejudice meets its match, when discrimination crashes into justice, it's pure gold. If you're feeling that surge of satisfaction right now, hit that like button. Let's make this story echo across every corner of social media. Subscribe and join our community of justice seekers. Every day, stories like Emily's unfold in stores, offices, and public spaces worldwide. But not every story gets its perfect ending, unless we stand together and expose these moments. Drop a comment sharing your thoughts. What would you have done in Emily's position? How long would you have kept your composure? Your experiences and reactions make our community stronger. Ring that notification bell, because what happens next in Urban Luxe will leave you speechless. The grand entrance of Urban Luxe framed a tableau of poetic justice. Emily's casual elegance now commanded the space, while Stone's expensive suit seemed to shrink around him, a perfect metaphor for appearances versus substance. Through the boutique's windows, the morning light painted patterns across displays that would soon be reorganized, policies that would be rewritten, and a culture that would be restored. The gentle whir of the climate control system, mixed with scattered whispers, creating a symphony of change. The scent of fresh flowers from the morning's delivery drifted through the air, mingling with possibility. Display cases gleamed, ready to welcome every customer with equal respect. The security cameras blinked steadily, having captured every moment of this transformation for posterity. A new chapter was beginning at Urban Luxe, written in the language of inclusion and authentic luxury. Tessie, Emily's voice carried across the now silent boutique, Please contact HR. Tell them we need an immediate meeting. Her words, though quiet, held unmistakable authority. And bring me the unedited customer feedback reports, the ones Mr. Stone asked you to revise. The executive conference room on the third floor, typically reserved for designer showcases, transformed into a court of professional reckoning. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a panoramic view of Chicago's skyline, an appropriate backdrop for this watershed moment. Within 15 minutes, Urban Lux's HR director arrived, tablet in hand, already pulling up Stone's employment contract. The head of legal joined virtually, her image crisp on the wall screen. Stone sat alone on one side of the mahogany table, his earlier bravado replaced by rigid anxiety. Emily arranged the evidence methodically. Screenshots of edited reports, customer complaints, security footage, timestamps, and staff testimonials. Each document told its own story of discrimination, wrapped in the guise of maintaining standards. Mr. Stone, Emily began, her voice carrying the weight of both authority and disappointment. Let's review your interpretation of Urban Lux's values. She opened a leather portfolio. I have here the original mission statement I wrote when founding this company. Would you like to read it aloud, or shall I? Stone's fingers drummed against his thigh, the only visible crack in his desperate attempt to maintain composure. The HR director's fingers hovered over her keyboard, ready to document every word. Let's start with the numbers, Mr. Stone, Emily began, her voice carrying the same measured tone she used in Milan boardrooms. She pulled up a digital presentation, each slide revealing the true impact of his selective policies. Our customer base dropped 30% in key demographics. Luxury accessories, traditionally our strongest category, shows declining sales despite the market trending upward. But most concerning, she paused, letting the gravity sink in, are these testimonials. Emily played a compilation of security footage. A retired judge turned away, a celebrated musician redirected, a business owner dismissed. Each incident meticulously documented, each case of discrimination now linked to significant lost opportunities. Your profile of acceptable customers cost us more than sales, Mr. Stone. It cost us our reputation. She turned to the HR director. Please note that the investor you turned away last week sits on the board of 3 luxury brands. The philanthropist you redirected was actually here to discuss a potential $1 million corporate gift program. The legal representative on screen leaned forward as Emily continued. We're not just addressing discrimination, though that alone is grounds for immediate termination. We're looking at quantifiable damage to our brand relationships, documented violations of corporate policy, and deliberate manipulation of sales reports. Her words carried no anger, no raised voice. Just the precise dismantling of Stone's actions, with the same attention to detail she used when curating collections. Stone's carefully constructed world crumbled with each passing minute. His employment contract, projected on the screen, highlighted every violation in damning red. The termination clause glowed like a neon sign of his undoing. Effective immediately, Emily stated, sliding his termination papers across the polished mahogany. Your position at Urban Lux is terminated. Security will escort you to clear your office. Your access cards, company devices, and any confidential materials must be surrendered before you leave. His attempt at defense withered under the weight of evidence. Mrs. Walter, surely we can discuss. The time for discussion was before you decided to remake this store in your own prejudiced image. Emily's interruption was silk-wrapped steel. Your severance has been forfeited due to documented misconduct. Legal will contact you regarding restitution for damages to our brand. The HR director efficiently collected Stone's company phone, laptop, and access cards. His designer briefcase, once a symbol of authority, now held only personal items. His career at Urban Lux reduced to a box of belongings. Stone's final walk through the boutique was a study in fallen pride. Employees watched silently as security guided him past the luxury displays he'd used as weapons of exclusion, through the doors he'd guarded so zealously, and onto the same sidewalk where he'd made his fatal mistake. At the entrance, Stone made one last desperate attempt to salvage his reputation. The sales numbers were improving, he protested, turning to face Emily. The exclusive image I created was a betrayal of everything Urban Luxe represents, Emily cut in, her voice carrying across the marble floors. True luxury isn't about excluding people, Mr. Stone. It's about making everyone feel extraordinary. Stone's facade finally shattered completely. You can't maintain prestige without what, Mr. Stone? Emily stepped closer, her presence commanding despite her casual attire. Without prejudice? Without discrimination? The only thing damaging our prestige was your narrow-minded leadership. His face flushed with humiliation as passing shoppers slowed to witness his exit. The same sidewalk where he'd tried to dismiss Emily now became the stage for his final disgrace. I built my company on inclusion, not exclusion. Emily's words rang clear in the morning air. Perhaps that's a lesson you can take to your next position, though I doubt any luxury brand will be interested after today. Emily gathered her staff in the main showroom, surrounded by the luxury items that would now truly be accessible to all. Today marks a new chapter for Urban Luxe, she announced, her voice warm but resolute, or rather a return to our true values. She unveiled a tablet displaying immediate policy changes, the removal of the appointment-only signs, elimination of profiling protocols, and restoration of the original welcome area. Our success was built on making luxury accessible to anyone who appreciates it. That's our real standard. Tessie distributed new customer service guidelines while Emily continued. We're implementing mandatory inclusivity training. Our security protocols will focus on protecting our clients, not prejudging them. Commission structures will reward exceptional service to all customers equally. The store's atmosphere lightened with each announced change, as if the space itself was shedding months of accumulated tension. Emily moved through the displays, adjusting items, restoring the welcoming ambiance she'd originally created. Let today be a reminder, she concluded, that true luxury isn't about keeping people out, it's about welcoming them in. The morning's tension dissolved into a wave of relief that swept through Urban Luxe. Staff members who had spent months walking on eggshells now stood taller, their genuine smiles returning. Tessie wiped happy tears from her eyes as she shredded Stone's discriminatory protocols, each piece representing freedom from months of ethical compromise. I watched him turn away my own cousin last month, one associate confided to another. I couldn't say anything then, but seeing him leave like that... She gestured expressively, unable to contain her satisfaction. The security guard resumed his original post, this time with a warm smile replacing his previously forced stern expression. Finally, I can focus on actual security instead of profiling customers, he said, adjusting his badge with renewed pride. The morning's event sparked animated discussions throughout the store. Staff shared stories of customers they'd been forced to discourage, each account reinforcing the importance of Emily's return. The whispered conversations carried notes of vindication and hope. "Did you see his face when she showed her ID?" became the day's favorite phrase, followed by knowing looks and suppressed laughter. But beneath the satisfaction ran a deeper current of professional pride. They were no longer gatekeepers of exclusion, but ambassadors of true luxury. "Today, we redefine excellence," Emily announced. Her team gathered around the central display. "Our measure of success isn't in what we keep out, but in what we create within these walls." She unveiled the new digital interface at the concierge desk, showcasing real-time customer feedback and service metrics. The morning's inventory updates highlighted collections from emerging designers alongside established luxury brands, creating a dynamic blend of accessibility and prestige. We're introducing personal shopping services for all clients, not just VIPs, Emily explained, pulling up the new scheduling system. Our expertise should enhance everyone's experience, whether they're buying their first luxury item or their 100th. The store's layout transformed to encourage exploration rather than intimidation. Interactive displays invited customers to learn about craftsmanship and design. Even the staff uniforms were updated, elegant but approachable, reflecting the store's renewed philosophy. Remember, Emily concluded, true luxury is about making dreams accessible, one customer at a time. In her office overlooking Michigan Avenue, Emily paused at the window. The morning's events played through her mind as she watched shoppers enter urban luxe with renewed confidence. Her parents' wisdom echoed in her thoughts, her mother's lessons about craftsmanship knowing no social bounds, her father's belief that music, like luxury, belonged to everyone who appreciated it. She traced her fingers along the handcrafted desk, a piece her mother once admired in a store where they'd been unwelcome. Now it stood as a reminder of why she'd founded Urban Luxe, to create a space where appreciation for beauty transcended prejudice. The incident with Stone had revealed more than discrimination. It had exposed how quickly exclusivity could poison a dream. Her 3 months in Europe, watching artisans create without judgment, had reinforced her original vision. Luxury wasn't about barriers, it was about breaking them. A smile touched her lips as she watched a diverse group of customers being welcomed inside. Urban Luxe was returning to its roots, stronger for having faced this challenge. The transformation of Urban Luxe rippled beyond its elegant walls. Social media buzzed with eyewitness accounts of Stone's downfall, each share and comment celebrating justice served. Fashion blogs picked up the story, praising Emily's handling of discrimination in luxury retail. But the real impact played out in smaller, more meaningful moments. An aspiring designer, previously intimidated by luxury boutiques, found mentorship through Urban Luxe's new outreach program. A grandmother who'd been turned away returned to purchase her granddaughter's graduation gift, receiving the welcome she'd deserved all along. Industry leaders took notice. Other high-end retailers began examining their own practices, recognizing that true luxury thrived on inclusion rather than exclusion. Emily's inbox filled with partnership proposals from brands wanting to align with Urban Luxe's renewed vision. The store's sales figures told their own story. Authentic welcome proved more profitable than artificial exclusivity. But for Emily, success measured itself in changed lives and restored dignity. Each genuine smile, each moment of discovery, each barrier broken, validated her stand against prejudice. Tales of Light family, today's story proves that justice isn't just about winning. It's about transforming spaces and changing lives. Emily didn't just reclaim her store, she restored its soul. If this story moved you, hit that subscribe button and join our community of changemakers. Your support helps us continue exposing discrimination and celebrating victories against prejudice. Ring that notification bell to never miss another moment of justice served. Share this video with someone who needs to be reminded that appearances don't define worth. Drop a comment about a time you witnessed or experienced similar discrimination. Your story matters, and this community stands with you. Remember, luxury isn't about exclusion, it's about excellence. And here at Tales of Light, we'll keep shining the spotlight on those who dare to stand up for what's right. 3 months after Stone's departure, Urban Luxe showed measurable improvements. Sales returned to their previous levels, with the accessories department seeing a notable 20% increase. The store's reputation for exceptional service began to recover, one customer interaction at a time. Emily implemented subtle but significant changes. The welcome desk now greeted every customer with the same professional courtesy. Staff training focused on product knowledge and customer service rather than profiling. The store's layout became more inviting while maintaining its luxury atmosphere. Regular clients who had stopped visiting during Stone's tenure gradually returned. Word spread through Chicago's diverse professional circles that urban luxe had restored its original values. Most importantly, the staff's renewed confidence showed in their genuine interactions with every customer who walked through the doors. The incident at Urban Luxe sparked important conversations within Chicago's luxury retail community. Other high-end boutiques quietly examined their own practices, recognizing that discrimination wasn't just unethical, it was bad for business. Emily shared her experience at a local retail association meeting, highlighting how prejudice had nearly damaged her brand's reputation and bottom line. The numbers spoke volumes. Qualified customers turned away, sales opportunities lost, and talented staff demoralized, all because one manager imposed his biases. The lesson was clear. True luxury retail thrived on expertise, respect, and genuine service, not artificial barriers. Urban Luxe demonstrated that maintaining high standards didn't mean compromising human dignity. Instead, success came from recognizing that appreciation for luxury crossed all demographic lines. Now, Tales of Light family, let's have an honest conversation. Have you experienced similar treatment in luxury spaces? Maybe you were the customer being judged, or perhaps you witnessed discrimination and weren't sure how to respond. Share your story in the comments below. How did you handle it? What would you have done in Emily's position? Your experiences can help others recognize and address these situations. Think about these questions. What subtle signs of discrimination have you noticed in high-end stores? How do you think businesses should train their staff to avoid bias? What makes you feel truly welcome in a luxury environment? Remember, your voice matters in this conversation. Each comment, each shared experience helps build awareness and encourages change. Let's create a supportive space where we can discuss these important issues openly and honestly. For those who face similar situations, know that you're not alone. This community stands with you, and together, we're shining a light on these moments that need to change. Emily Walter's story reminds us that sometimes the most powerful response to prejudice is quiet competence. She didn't need to raise her voice or create a scene. Her dignity, position, and principles spoke volumes. But not everyone has the advantage of being the owner when facing discrimination. This is why these stories matter. Every time we expose discrimination, every time we stand firm against prejudice, we create ripples of change. Whether it's in a luxury boutique, a corporate office, or any space where people are judged by appearances rather than character. Think about how many customers Stone turned away who couldn't return with an owner's ID. Think about how many talented professionals lose opportunities because someone decides they don't fit the image. These aren't just isolated incidents. They're part of a larger pattern that needs to change. But change is possible. Emily proved that maintaining high standards and treating people with dignity aren't mutually exclusive. True excellence comes from inclusion, not exclusion. Real luxury isn't about keeping people out, it's about elevating everyone's experience. Family, today's story showed us how composure conquers prejudice. Emily's quiet strength dismantled discrimination more effectively than any confrontation could have. But the fight for respect and dignity continues in stores, offices, and public spaces worldwide. Make your voice heard. Subscribe to join our movement of storytellers and truth seekers. Every view, every share, every comment strengthens our mission to expose injustice and celebrate triumph. Our channel brings you stories that mainstream media won't touch. Moments where underdogs become champions, where prejudice meets its match, where justice wears unexpected faces. Each tale carefully chosen to remind you that change is possible and often comes from the most unexpected sources. This is Tales of Light, where we believe every story of justice deserves its moment in the spotlight. Together, we're not just watching change happen, we're making it happen.